Hey guys, what's up? It's JR Cuber, and in this video we have another unboxing from thecubicle.com. As you guys can see, the background is quite different. So I actually just recently moved into my own apartment, so I'm now living on my own. And I've actually placed my desk kind of in my dining room area where the dining table should be, but it didn't really fit in my bedroom. It's only a one bedroom, so normally I had two bedrooms before where I had my actual bedroom and then my office. So now I just kind of have my desk in my living room general area. So that's why you can kind of see some stuff in the background. That's my living room back there. And it is pretty dark back there. All my lights are actually on right now, but because my video lights are so bright, kind of cancels out the background. And so it also, because I don't have any other lights in here, it looks a little bit greenish. It doesn't look that nice. I am going to be putting a bunch of LEDs kind of everywhere, and I've got something planned to put on this wall as well, which will kind of cover up this stuff right here. So in the future, it'll look a little bit nicer. It won't be quite, I mean, it'll still be dark, but it won't be like totally black. There will be some LEDs and things that will light it up a bit. See, there is a light right there, but it's just not enough to counteract the very bright video lights. You also will notice a little bit of an echo. It's very small, but I did notice it when I was doing my test footage, and that's just because the floor isn't carpeted out here, so that's why. But yeah, a little bit of an adjustment. Hopefully it'll get better over time. But I'm very, very excited to show you guys this new puzzle from GAN, the GAN 356 XS, which is what the iPhone XS should have been called, which is this phone right here, the one I have, which I will be getting the 11 Pro very soon. So yeah, make all the puns you want about this cube being excessive, which, you know, from the XS name, but I'm just excited to check out the performance from GAN's latest flagship. All right, so Jules told me that this is a tester unit. It doesn't really come in the official packaging, so I won't be able to show you guys what the actual packaging looks like in this video, but what's most important is the cube, which is right here. Exciting. And it also comes with the tensioning tool, which looks like it has a replacement set for the centers for the spring tension, which we'll go into all those details about how all the spring stuff works. All right, so here is the puzzle. First thing I'm noticing is it does have a slightly matte finish on the outside. Not entirely matte. It's not as much of a matte finish as the GAN I, which I like, but also not as glossy as the GAN X. So it's kind of in the middle. In terms of grip, just feeling it, I don't think it's going to be that bad, honestly. I don't think this is going to be awful. So yeah, I'm not sure how different the mechanism is except for the edge magnet thing and the centers, but let's just see how it feels. So this feels already set up. I'm not sure if this is the same puzzle that they used in the review. I'm not totally sure, but it feels like it's already been set up, which is good, but it doesn't quite give me that perfect out of the box type feeling. What I will say is that it does feel good. Right off the bat, I don't like it as much as the GAN X, but that's definitely subject to change for sure. This is just a very initial impression. It feels kind of slow. That could just be the setup, which I definitely could change. But yeah, it feels more like the GAN I than it feels like the GAN X. This puzzle just feels a little bit more papery smooth than silky smooth. I don't know. It doesn't feel quite as premium as the GAN X does. Here, let's compare it. Okay, here's the GAN X. Yeah, this has definitely a very like buttery, silky smooth feel. And in terms of the speed, this one's not actually much faster, and that's just because of the way I have it set up right now. But it honestly feels a little more fluid, maybe a little more stable. Yeah, maybe it's just a placebo with the matte plastic, but it just feels a lot like the GAN I. Better than the GAN I for sure, a lot better than the GAN I. But I'm not sure. I mean, there is so much customization though that I feel like one of the options has to get a feeling that's pretty close to the GAN X. So let's actually go into that. Let's take a look at the mechanism. Okay, first of all, it looks quite similar. So first of all, everything is black. It looks like it's all one piece. So that's definitely different. So if we get up in here, you can see this is, you know, separate pieces, and here we just have, it looks like just one piece, one single mold. So that could definitely be affecting things. I know that at least I'm pretty sure that the reason they went with internal plastic is because it makes it faster. So I'm not sure why they went back on that design choice. Comparing the corners here, the biggest thing I'm seeing is in the base. The base looks maybe a little bit smaller, a slightly different shape, and it also doesn't have the honeycomb pattern. So as you can see, it's more of just a straight ridges, and on here we have the honeycomb. So honestly, it almost looks like a little bit of a step down in design from the GAN X. That's just my initial thoughts though. I'm not totally sure. One thing that's different too is the core. So this has a completely plastic core, which is like very retro GAN. That's what GAN cubes used to have. And this is metal. So it does decrease the weight. It does, from my experience with older GAN cubes, it always added more flex because it was plastic. It always bent more and made the cube feel a little bit more unstable. So I am getting a little bit more of that kind of feeling in this cube than I would like, at least right off the bat. But I mean, it feels good. I'm not going to say it feels bad or anything. It feels pretty good. I'm just not totally blown away out of the box, which is a little bit of a disappointment. Okay, actually, while we had it apart, I should have shown you guys what the edges can do. So the edges do something very similar to the EDM, which is a puzzle I actually just made a video about, even though it's been out for a while. So I'm pretty sure this is the strongest setting, but you can move it to, I believe that's the weakest setting, but there should also be a setting in the middle. Although I actually can't seem to, oh, there we go. Okay, it's a very, very light push, but that's the middle setting. So the middle setting is like the middle tension, and then you have the weakest tension, which is that one, and then the strongest tension, which I'm pretty sure is that one. Looks like it's already set to the strongest setting. So in terms of testing the magnet strength, they feel about equal to the strongest magnets on the GAN X, honestly. So the GAN X obviously had the replaceable magnets. GAN went ahead and ditched that, and you just get this. So I'm pretty sure this is actually the only accessory that comes with the puzzle. I don't think you get all of the many, many accessories that come with this cube, which I think is a step in the right direction. I think that's good to keep things simple. This does actually add more combinations to what you can do with it though, and we'll go ahead and get into that now. So I'm not sure I totally understand how this all works. I watched the Cubicle review, but I think I'm gonna just kind of try and figure it out by trial and error here and just see what happens when I mess with things. So we have a blue nut here, and this is like a dark blue. And then we also have a lighter blue nut, or they're not really nuts. They're kind of like what's in the GTS3 and WRM, if I can focus up, where you ratchet it up to change the spring tension, basically, which it looks like you can do maybe here. How do you change that? Oh, it looks like you probably just change it with this. Yep. So that looks like the lightest tension there. And then the strongest tension would be, yeah, I think it's, how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's all the way back up. So let's count from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it just 4? Is that it? Am I missing something? Well, what I do know is that you can change this out with this, which gives you a different option for how the spring is tightened. I got to see how you actually take this out. So, okay, it looks like you just push down and rotate, and that changes the tension. So I'm seeing like 6 bumps on this piece. So I think you should be able to change it like 6 times. So here's the actual spring. And then I'm pretty sure based on how you put this in, you can change the spring tension as well. I believe that's how that works. So the actual tightness or looseness of the puzzle. And then the actual compression of the spring is controlled by the ratcheting. I believe that's how it works. So what it looks like is that this is the setting that you twist it to be able to take it off. But then you can also rotate it to this 2 setting here, which changes the tension slightly, or you can rotate it to this It looks like 4. So that's the 4 setting. So maybe it's just those 2 options then, the 2 and the 4. Yeah, something like that. There's a couple ways you can rotate it, which I think adjusts how far up or down it is from the core, which adjusts the tension basically, and you can make it consistent on all the sides. I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. I believe there was something like this on a version of the GAN X that I didn't get. So it was a slightly different version. So now it's just standard on all of them. Okay, so it looks like this blue one has slightly different tensioning settings because the numbers on here are 2, 4, and 6, and the numbers on here are 1, 3, and 5. So I'm imagining that depending on which one you put in, whoops, don't want to drop that, you can adjust the tensions differently. So I'm going to go ahead and leave these in here. So let's see what setting. I believe it's on the tightest setting. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, after 4, it just pops back up again. Which is weird because, like I said, I see 6 ratchets on these pieces, and these ones are the same as the other ones. So I don't know. It's minor adjustments. It seems like a more smaller adjustment than the adjustments you can make on the GTS 3. But, you know, still adjustments nonetheless. And there are a lot of different combinations, especially when you combine it with the different settings for the magnets. So the puzzle feels a little tight. I might loosen it a bit. I'm just going to basically put all of these on the default setting, the spring compression, and then see how that feels, if that's any different. Okay. Whoa, okay, already that's like way faster. Let me put the caps back on so I can really see how it feels. Okay. Yeah, okay, whoa, okay. That's way faster, but also way looser. So, you know, that's the trade-off you're getting. The magnets do help to a degree. And then also we can just make sure, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay, no. I'm definitely sure that the magnets are on the strongest setting because the magnets on the corner are very close to the edge. And so the closer to the edge of the edge that you put the magnet, the stronger it's going to be. Okay, whoa, yeah. So this is much stronger. You can see how kind of the pieces are like separating a little bit. Like this is a much looser tension. But it does feel much closer to the way this feels. This is more stable, but this is fast. So I'm probably gonna try and match the feel a little bit. This was on the tightest setting, so I might go more in the middle, which will probably give a better balance of stability and also speed. Okay, yeah, this is like super fast and pretty unstable, but I'm really liking the way it's performing. Yeah, the corner cutting is super good. Like, look at that. That is like flawless corner cutting. Awesome stuff. So yeah, overall, I think the GAN XS has definite potential. I think it's getting there in terms of the setup, for me at least, in terms of the way I like it. I'm gonna have to keep playing with it, you know, try other things out. But right now, I think it's pretty solid. I don't know if it'll stack up to this cube fully. I'll kind of have to compare the two a little bit. This one does give me some locking issues just because it's like super fast and a little bit more harsh. Maybe this one will be more forgiving, which would be an improvement. So I'm also, I think it's the same size. It is definitely lighter though, which is crazy because this is already a very light cube. I think this is like 75 grams or something like that, but this one's like 68. And you can feel the difference when you're holding the two. So it's significant, and I think it's mostly because of the plastic core. Overall, pretty excited to see where this cube goes. So I'll be back very shortly to give you guys my final thoughts on this puzzle. So I've been using the GAN XS for a few days now, and it's really been growing on me the more that I use it. Also, as I was editing the first part of the video, I realized that some of that may be a little bit confusing. So just to clear some things up, the ratcheting system in the cube controls spring compression, which has the same effect as replacing GES nuts within the cube, like you would on older GAN puzzles. And the position of the blue nut on the center controls equals spring tension, which replaces just tightening or loosening a screw. The cube comes with 4 tensions, so there's 2 on the dark blue nut and then 2 on the light blue nut. And the smaller the number, the tighter the cube. I'm pretty sure. The cube seemed to feel tighter when the number was lower, so I'm pretty sure that's the case. The system basically makes it so that you know for sure that you're going to have even tensions on all of the sides, and you can adjust the settings in controlled increments. Also, there are actually 6 compression settings. I was just counting wrong, and every time I would reset it back to the start, it was actually going to the second position, not the first one, so I was missing one every time. So now I just want to go over the settings that I ended up using on my cube, and they're quite similar to the stock settings. I did change them a little bit though. So I'm using the strongest magnet setting with the spring tension set to 4, which I'm pretty sure is the loosest. It seemed to be looser than the other settings I tried. And I'm also on the 5th compression setting, so the second from the tightest. I really like this balance between having a loose tension but a tight spring compression. It makes the cube controllable and stable, but not too locky. It still feels quite fluid and it can corner cut still very well. It's not the most fluid puzzle I've ever used. There still are some catches, but I think it's less catchy than the GAN X. The puzzle is not overly fast, and even though I could make it a lot faster without even adding more lube, but just by adjusting the settings, I actually really like it where it is. I had a lot of trouble controlling the GAN X. That puzzle seemed to always be fast no matter how I set it up, so I like that this cube is easier to control. Locking was also an issue that started to arise the more I used the GAN X, but so far it hasn't really been too much of a problem on this cube. The Gann XS is a very stable puzzle that has a slightly sandy and papery feel, but still maintains that classic GAN smoothness. The cube is also pretty much the most quiet 3x3 I've ever used. So if you like to cube in public at all, this one will be pretty much the least bothersome for other people. I still don't like the matte finish. To me, it just makes the puzzle feel cheaper, like not quite as premium. I've gotten used to it at this point, but I still think there should be at least an option for smooth plastic. The caps do seem like they're replaceable, so theoretically GAN could release a cap set with glossy plastic, maybe. But overall, like I said before, I'm not totally blown away by this puzzle. For all intents and purposes, it is a really good cube that has very, very good performance. I like that you can make a lot of customization options to the cube without needing a bunch of tools or a big time commitment. I guess I'm just not in love with the overall feel of the puzzle like I was with the GAN X. I really loved that cube when it first came out, and I'm just not quite feeling the same way about this puzzle. Like I said, it's been growing on me and probably will continue to, and I do get very good times on it. It's just not as enjoyable for me to solve like the GAN X was at the start. However, I don't really like solving on the GAN X anymore due to its overall lockiness and uncontrollable speed, which lube just doesn't really seem to fix. So maybe the Gann XS will be one of those GTS2 type cubes that's really good for a very long time and used by a lot of cubers. In this case, since you can set it up in so many different ways. It's hard to say whether or not it's better than the GAN X. The performance is in some ways better and in some ways worse. So at the end of the day, it'll probably just come down to personal preference. I think what the GAN X really has going for it is the simplicity in the way you can customize it. It has so many different ways you can set it up, but the settings are very, very easy to change. Changing a full set of GES nuts on older GAN cubes was definitely a big time commitment. Going through all of the colors, well, that took like almost a day. Meanwhile, going through and testing all of the settings on this puzzle can be done in a fraction of that time. And the settings can be changed on the fly. You really don't need many tools. So yeah, Gann XS. Very, very good cube. At this point, it's so hard to call a certain puzzle the best on the market because they're just all so good. But GAN is in an interesting situation because they have the most expensive 3x3s on the market. So people are really expecting these cubes to be the best of the best. And the truth is, they're just not going to be for everyone. GAN cubes really seem to only work for certain types of cubers. Hopefully this cube will expand that market a bit with the customization options, but it's really the reason why you can't call one cube the best on the market. There are certain cubes that work better for certain people. I mean, this cube is definitely up there in 3x3s that I would recommend, so long as you can realistically afford it. It is still a $60 puzzle. At this point, with the quality of almost every 3x3 that's out, it's really hard for one puzzle to rise above the rest. So if you get this cube, just make sure to keep your expectations in check. It's a very, very good cube. It just probably won't blow you away. Anyways, that's about all I have to say on the Gann XS. Thanks, of course, to the Cubicle for sending me this cube for free to review and for sponsoring the video. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit that like button, turn on notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.